takes the longest right here. I get the extrusion from the inlet extrusion. It all gets blown off properly, make sure there's no debris. We can load it out on the table. I'm actually out of screws right now, so I can't actually fasten anything to it. But as you see here, we have one LED board that actually receives the wires for wiring purposes. And then we have the next LED that has a spade connector on this side. See here, got the female connector on that end. Snap right in place like that.
Keep getting
Screw
another
it
shot.
down,
Keep getting right in front of your shot.
Oh no.
just like that. And to do one of these, it takes me about 7 minutes to do one. Okay, so I'm doing a 4-channel right there. What is that? 32
30
minutes?
minutes.
28 minutes? So once these are loaded, they'll come shift over, and I'll put them across the main, and I'll slide them down, and they will get their lenses put on them. I just want to feel the lenses. Polycarbonate.
No, it's an acrylic.
Acrylic.
Yeah, so there's a couple of points with key too. So one thing about the boards that we use, they're aluminum. Okay, so for these
I got
lights,
it.
they're aluminum. We have other boards in here that we make out of FR4 material, which is a plastic material. A lot of companies will use a plastic material, and they'll do that because it's less expensive. But we'll use the aluminum here for the heat transfer. So when we populate these LEDs on here, we have an aluminum board, so we get maximum conductivity of the heat. But then we're also directly fastening these aluminum boards to those aluminum heat sinks. Some people will just slide these in a notch, and they won't have that direct transfer of heat. So that's why when Anthony said earlier, hey, I can put my cheek up to them. Or do they get hot? Yes, they're warm, but they're not hot. Some of these extrusions run so hot when you put your hand up to it, whoa, I can't even touch those.
More like an 80-degree sandwich.
Like my smaller one can do.
Yeah, but it's not like you can boil water on top of it.
I had a tiny one that was like that big that I bought, off of Amazon, tiny little cheap thing. And that thing, if I go to grab it when it's on, I'm like, ah, ah, ah. This one, I can just be like, and yeah, you feel it, but I'm just like, there's no problem,
And the reason that's important too, that affects the whole longevity of these fixtures. These diodes will go out if they're over. Two things. One, if they're overdriven, meaning that they're driving these, they're putting current through there, as much current as they can to make them as bright as possible. And there's a specification for these components, like how hard you should drive them. And a lot of people drive them at the upper end or even beyond that. And so that's why they may go out in a year, because they're just being overdriven, or they may be using material that doesn't do a good job with heat transfer. So you have to take all of that into consideration, making sure you're using the correct materials so you get the maximum heat transfer, and electrically you're not overdriving these, so that they're right really in the mid-range what the manufacturer is recommending that they be driven at. That way we can stand behind our 5 years, because we know that we're not overdriving them, we're using the right materials to, so that they're not getting too hot, and then the end user can go up and touch them and say, okay, yeah,
This is
that's
where the
not
programming of the drivers comes in. We're not taking our drivers at default straight out of the box as they're sent to us. We are actually programming the amps down to work at the highest efficiency for our boards, so that we can guarantee that 5-year guarantee.
Yeah.
how often would you say, or how likely is it that that's in the industry? How prevalent that you see them overdriven? How likely would you say in the industry you see lights overdriven? How percentage wise? How many?
I think a lot that are coming in from overseas are overdriven.
Right. Like
Because
high
they
percentage.
want the appearance of brightness, but there's going to be inconsistency, and when they go out, they go out. It's okay, we'll just replace the fixture. But what do you do when you're down for 3 days? How does that
Right.
affect the growth cycle? What does that do to your plants? And do you want to keep messing with that? Or do you want to do it once and you're done? And it's going to last. If you have a problem, we'll deal with it right here.
How long have you been producing these models?
About a year and a half.
Okay. So that says a lot that you're willing to stand by it for 5 years, considering you haven't made it for 5 years.
Yeah, but that's why the experience that we have in this industry for many, many years, we know how to do it, and this is just another, variation of, what we already know how to do.
Yeah.
And we've been in
touching
LA.
on that point. I mean, you have companies that have been around for 75 years.
Yeah.
That means they can stand by. They didn't just start producing something or anything. So the company itself is already able to even but you see other companies starting up all the time, and that's great. We want to do things the right way. We're gonna do it our way. Build a life that's made for us.
Yeah. It's all in that math, that math of how long things should or will last based on. Yeah.
Running all the electrical calculations, making sure that it is done correctly, and that it's not somebody saying, "Hey, I want this produced," because I, a long time ago, tried to produce lights in China. That design was stolen from me and sold to another manufacturer right next to us, and then sold to another large American company, and then walked into light supply, and their whole thing was outfitted with these 2.5 replacement LED tubes, and I mean, it was a matter of 2 months of it to turn around. Yeah.
Quick movement. Yeah.
To work here and work with people to give each other jobs, and have somebody that's dedicated to do this right, somebody that's in the back room running the electrical calculations and making sure that everybody puts that properly.
So right now,
And let me just throw one more thing in there too. How long you've been in this market in particular, but with LEDs, we've been working with LEDs since about 2010.
Okay.
So, well over a decade, so we've gone through the initial learning curve of what to do and what not to do. But you're going to produce a quality product that's going to last and stand behind it, warranty it, and build a reputation that people are going to be like, okay, I know I'm getting that product. I know it's going to work and last. That's really what the philosophy is.
I mean, you'll see it right here.
I was just gonna say,